Now, he is best known as a two-time Olympian for Ireland's Rugby 7 squad. But it's lovely that he's a show-off, can do all that. But he is so open and he's so fantastic. And following his own experience, when he was very young, he grew up with domestic violence as a child. Jordan Conroy has decided to highlight men's role in ending violence against women.
Yeah, Jordan joins us now alongside CEO of Women's Aid, Sarah Benson. It's great to have you both
guys.
with us.
Lovely to be here.
Jordan, an amazing rugby player. But for a lot of people who would have seen you on the pitch, probably weren't aware of your situation growing up and how you grew up in a household with domestic abuse over in Germany with your stepfather.
A lot of people were surprised. It's something I've kind of kept hidden for years because I just didn't want people to feel sorry for me at first. But I think, in the last year, I think it was the right time to share it. With just so many crazy things going on in the world, I finally decided just to own that story and to share it, to maybe shine on light on some pressing matters and to try and do something really positive with it. And yeah, it was scary at first, but I think, the time is now to really kind of show, that I can do great things with it and, that it doesn't, it doesn't hold you back as a human being. You need to...
It's amazing. For people who aren't aware of the story, can you...
In short brief, so obviously, when I lived in Germany, my mother and my sister were in a horrible environment where for over 5 to 6 years, we had saw a man violently attack my mother on numerous occasions, on countless nights, even in daytime. And it was a really stressful environment having to see that, constantly and living in fear, living anxiously, always having to run away to find help to the next person. And yeah, it was just something as a child that I didn't quite grasp the concept of until I got older. But yeah, it was a horrible experience because it affected us majorly. And I couldn't even imagine how it affected my mother. But, as a child and my sister, it just took its toll after a while. But it wasn't nice. But, I had a very strong mother who took us out of that environment and brought us over here to, get us away from it, because there was times we did fear for our life and it was very close calls. But, we got there in the end.
You did, when you were 10, you got back to Mullingar, but that was because when you were 10 years old, your mother was beaten so badly that he was lying to the police.
Yes. And that's actually the first time I actually spoke out against him, was that night. It's probably the most memorable night in a bad way, but I remember he was drunk one night and I could hear the commotion in the sitting room. I creaked through the door and me and Mum just made eye contact. It's like, when I tell you, you go. And I just remember running up the stairs to the neighbour to call the police and could hear the beating going on downstairs. And then I remember the 2 police officers were downstairs and he was lying saying, no, she attacked me first and this and that, and I had to defend myself. And I was just there shaking. I was like, nah, can't let this happen. At 7 years old, I just had to say, no, that's a lie. He was beating her, this and that. And yeah, that's the first time I had the confidence to actually speak, because he was always threatening to say, if you say anything, I'll come for you. I'll come for you. And your mother won't see another day or something like that. Yeah, but as a kid, you don't really.
Oh wow!
But it was.
Your mother, an incredible woman.
Yeah, she
to
deserves
go
it all.
through that, to bring you to Ireland, to encourage you to get involved in sport, probably to encourage you to speak out, and speak so well.
Yeah.
How has it affected you and your sister? Seeing that?
Probably it was very violent in school to begin with in Germany, but when I got taken out of that environment and actually brought to Ireland, Ireland was such a calming place when I went back to Offaly, to Tullamore. It was literally like a brand new, restart, and I got into a lovely school, made lovely friends, and to be honest, I think subconsciously we just decided to put it behind ourselves.
Yeah.
To never talk about it, because it's so traumatizing, and it was so good to be away from that, to be kind of around family and forget about it. So, yeah, it did take a while to kind of sort of get it back into normal life. But
and you have obviously spoken with when you decided to speak about this, you had spoken with your mother, you've spoken with your sister, you've spoken with your family. But you said there a few minutes ago that, you were seeing things in the world and you were like, I need to talk about this. What were you seeing? What's the motivation to go, hold on a second, lads, we've got a role to play here?
Yeah, it was really the suffering. It just really reminded me of what I went through, what my mother went through, and I was just trying to change that slowly but surely. And, with the increase of violence against women, it just brought me back to that dark place, having to see what my mother went through And I can only imagine what women nowadays are going through, to have to go through that every day. I know, like, I don't know personally, but I see the fear, the aftermath, living in anxiety and everything, having to look behind your shoulder with any random, like, that is horrible. And having seen the take its toll on my mum, like, I just wouldn't wish that on anyone. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So if it takes a person like me to have to share my story and stand up, you know, to go in the right direction for other men, then I'll be that guy.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And even, I know you've talked about Aisling Murphy.
Yeah.
She was from your town.
And that was a big, major shock. And I just remember, like, the lads from school were talking about it. It's like, can you believe this? It was so close to home. And that was the first time I think we had a conversation amongst lads to see what the hell, you know?
You chatted amongst each other?
We couldn't believe it because we all have sisters. We have younger sisters. And it just kind of made us think, like, that could have been any of our family members. Because, you know, people run and everything. And we just, we couldn't believe it. And, you know, we were in shock. We were genuinely in shock for the first time. We've never really touched on issues like that. So something like that had to happen to get the conversation going. It was like shock.
I suppose, Sarah, this is a thing. Violence happens against men as well. We totally get that, but the statistics show that more violence does happen perpetrated by men on women. I suppose this is what we want, allyship, men talking about it, because we can say whatever we want until we're blue in the face, but it's kind of like we want men to be on our side and to realise this sort of stuff happens.
Yeah, well, what we know is, firstly, you know, it's always incredible for anyone with lived experience to share about it, including whether it happened as an adult or as a child. And I think what Jordan has really clearly shared is that when you do have children in a home where there is domestic abuse, children are victims in that situation. They are not just witnesses. And when we know that 35% of women will experience either physical, psychological or sexual abuse from an intimate partner, many will also have families with their abusive partner. And so that also increases the number exponentially in terms of the lived experience of children. But we also know that the greatest untapped resource in actually changing behaviours and attitudes that can lead to, that can normalise situations where we have really extreme violence, like domestic violence and murder, as has been mentioned, is men. And, you know, we in Women's Aid have been working with our partner Allianz for the last 3 years to do campaigns like The World's Strongest Women, which is highlighting the strength and resilience of survivors and saying that there's support there. But what we've also realised most recently from a report that our partner CORE did for us around attitudes to masculinity is that, you know, 3 in 5 men in this country actually have very moderate views. Over 60, nearly 65% believe that they need to do more to call out those early low-level misogynistic things. 2 in 5 hold much more traditionalist views where, you know, they see masculinity maybe as being more around dominance and strength and, you know, denying vulnerability. But 3 in 5 do not. And we need those 3 in 5 to be talking to the other 2 in 5 because the majority of them are actually young men. And so what we're launching...
And saying what?
This is the thing. What we know is, and Aisling Murphy's murder was a really good example. I spoke to so many men of all ages where that sparked a particular conversation around, this is terrible, I kind of feel I should do something. I'm starting to hear from, you know, my wife, my sisters about this thing of walking home with the keys in the hand, of this lived experience of walking in the world with the tension of the possibility of male violence. But we also know that the most dangerous place for women will be in their own home, and that the majority of women who die will die at the hands of their current or former partner. But men just were kind of keen to do something, but not necessarily wanting to step into a space that they maybe thought was a women's space. We're here to say it's not. This is an issue of male violence for men to support with. And we're launching with Allianz an Allies resource specifically for men to help answer those questions. So it's going live today. It's on womensaid.ie/men. And we've worked on it with CORE, who did the research on masculinities, and with our colleagues in the Men's Development Network, who've been working on this for years, around giving, confidence and comfort that you don't have to fix everything. There are ways, simple ways to get involved and, call out that early sexism. It even gives examples of how to do it, to have conversations with women, to hear what their experience, and then also to have conversations with your peers.
Whenever you said 35%, and the amount of this that is going on, it's frightening. A lot of it's going on behind closed doors. Do you think people know what's going on? Do you think, for fellas to call this out, are we aware of it? Are you seeing that people are aware of it? And if you are aware of it, what are you meant to do?
Well, I mean, to answer the first question, I think there is this historic thing that we still have a little bit, is that, you don't look into what's happening in your neighbour's house, or if there's an intimate relationship, let them work it out amongst themselves. I think, there's been enough said and seen and has happened in recent years to be like that that's not really an acceptable way as a community for us to think about, how we address, all levels of violence, including violence against men. But the things that men can do are, in the first instance, have conversations with the women in your life. Just listen to them. Hear, we know this when we see, really great people like Richard Hogan, Richie Sadlier, bringing together young people to talk about pornography, for example. When young people hear how it impacts them differently as boys, as girls, they start to understand and they start to learn from each other, and then they can start to be part of equal relationships.
We're sort of in a world where we're othering everybody, where the genders seem to be moving apart. The things from the tech bros about more masculine energy in social media spaces. We had Natasha O'Brien on recently, and some of the comments under her video was she deserves more smacks, wish he'd knocked her out. It was really horrible actually looking at the comments, because a woman has decided to say something, I didn't like having the crap kicked out of me. Does it worry you, those attitudes, Jordan, that you're kind of seeing? Because we're all the same. We all live together. We're friends. It's not about one trying to be better than the other. It's about us living in harmony, really, isn't it?
It is, and I think that's why I decided to step forward to change the narrative on that. It's to kind of give young men, and men even my age and the older men, the confidence to, speak out against that. And I think it's more so about the hesitation of, will I be looked at differently for standing up for what's right? There's nothing wrong with standing up for what's right at the end of the day. If you feel like, you see something wrong and you're against it, speak up about it. But I really think there is a little bit of fear in today's society with men of just, being fearful of other men, which is so funny. And as I said, I think you would be respected more by your peers if you did the right thing. You'd be definitely respected by me. And obviously having conversations with women is a big help. When you see the effects it has and everything, it really is important, that we do it. And that's why I'm here, to put that into motion and, help other men get into it. Because I know there's good men out there. I know there's good men out there and they're wanting to help. It's just get them out of that shell to kind of, come along with us.
That was beautiful. That was genuinely beautiful. I loved hearing that from you. And before we go anywhere, can we do a Super Bowl thing? Do you know the way we're always talking about there? Can you show us the ring?
Oh,
I just spotted it there. Yeah. Did you see this?
Right.
So
the Olympic rings.
I'm going to get the tattoo.
Okay.
I just spotted it. I had to show.
Else got the tattoo.
Yeah.
But, respect.
I'm sorry. I had to. I just saw. I was like, it's so good.
No, well, listen, well done. You're an amazing
incredible.
ambassador, an amazing sports person, but speaking out so well about such an issue and what you've been through is amazing, Jordan. Good on you. Listen, Rugby Sevens player, Women's Aid ambassador, Sarah Benson as well from Women's Aid. Great to have you both with us. Good on you with this new initiative. Of course, it is called the Dead Flower Shop. It's going to be tomorrow on Valentine's Day on Grafton Street. You will see it. If you think you're getting your last minute flowers, you're going to get a bit of a shock when you go into the shop. But I think these sort of shock tactics are needed right now.
And to see about the new campaign for men, it's womenaids.ie/men. If you've been impacted by this chat in any way, helplines are available at virginmediatelevision.ie/helplines.